Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside Against the Odds Battle for the Golan Heights from Lock and Load Publishing, another game in the Battles on Demand line. This is definitely a game you're going to want to get if you like big tank battles. So if you're into that, you're into the Middle East at all, the Middle Eastern Theater, Battle of the Golan Heights in the Yom Kippur War, you're going to want to check this one out. Back of the box it says complexity level 5, solitaire playability 7, ages 10 and up, 1 to 2 players, 1 to 2 hours. Game comes with 1 map, 3 player aid cards, 1 manual, and 2 counter sheets. The map is actually going to be in 3 sections, which we'll take a look at once we get inside. There's a look at the map, or a section of the map, and then these are the counters. You're going to have your Syrian and your Israeli units. But the text on the back of the box says, Against the Odds Battle for the Golan Heights is a game simulating the Syrian attack on the Golan Heights during the opening stages of the Yom Kippur War between October 6th through the 9th, 1973. Israeli forces were extensively outnumbered in the opening thrust, but in the end they held their ground, blunting the Syrian thrust and forcing them to withdraw. The withdrawal was a timely break for the Israelis, as unbeknownst to the Syrians, the Israeli defenses were on the brink of collapse. Against the Odds Battle for the Golan Heights concentrates on a small segment of that desperate battle through both historic and variant scenarios. So you're going to have a couple scenarios in this one. One is a historic one, and then there's going to be a slight variant that will change things up a little bit, which we'll take a look at when we get into the manual. Here's the manual here. You've got 2 counter sheets of admin counters, your Syrian and your Israeli forces. We'll come back to those in a moment. You've got your player aid charts. These there's your terrain effects chart. Explains to you the terrain, the movement cost, and the column shifts for range combat and for close combat. Then you have your turn record chart there, and then you've got your range fire results and your close assault results table. And on the back here you've got your reinforcement tables and air support as well. And the interesting thing here with the Syrian reinforcements is you're going to be rolling to see if additional units come on there. If the roll is, you roll a 1d6, and if the result is even, the following units will enter on turns 2 through 10. So if you just end up getting, bad rolls, if you're the Syrian player, bad in this case meaning only odd, these guys aren't going to come in. So you'll miss out on 3 HIP units, 6 Syrian infantry, and 2 saggers. Those saggers are really important when you're fighting tanks because they got the range that can take those tank units out. But you will be getting your anti-aircraft with your ZSUs. You're going to have 20 T-55s to start off, 3 BMPs, and then you're going to get more T-55s and then some T-62s later on, more ZSU anti-aircraft, and you have your bridge units, your AVLBs, and then you're going to have some BMPs as well, and 1 Sagger unit here. So getting a couple extra Sagger units is pretty huge for the Syrians, and what makes it interesting is it's variable. So you may get it on turn 2. You may not get it till turn 4, turn 6, turn 9. It depends on how you roll. Odds are you're probably going to see it fairly soon, but hey, dice hate me. So in this instance, there's a good chance that I'm probably going to be rolling odd till about turn 9 or 10. So that's just the way things go. But we've already covered that. So let's move on to the map, and then I'm going to lay this map out for you. It's in 3 different parts, and you have to overlay it like we've seen before, and then you'll have your full map. So you've got your map section there, and then this one goes over top to about there. So that's going to be your map. You're going to need a piece of plexi to put on top of it, but it's a good size map. That's unfortunately why it had to be printed in 3 different sections. But let me see if I can get that laid out better for you there. Sorry, I was off camera there. I didn't even realize it, but that is your 3 map sections. Just put a piece of plexi on top of it. You're going to have a lot of good range. You're going to have your pre-built tank fighting positions there, and some road, open desert. You've got plenty of open area to get your good tank battles on. But there's a look at your Syrian units and your admin counters. You can have some MiG-23s, some Mi-8 helicopters. You've got infantry, BMPs, ZSUs, and then your bridge units, your AVLBs. And then we've got more, and those were actually the depleted side, I should say. This is the front side of them. And then you've got your T-55s, T-62s here for the Syrians. And then up top here for the Israelis, you've got your Centurions and mortar units, M51s, you have infantry, and then you've got your leaders. And then you've got a couple of Skyhawks as well for air support. But those are the Israeli units that you'll have in the game. And as you can see, as was the case in real life, look at those Syrian units. You got plenty of Syrian units, and you are definitely outnumbering the Israelis. So Israelis are going to have the edge in vehicles being a little bit better, and also just being, kind of backing out. They're going to have some fighting positions already set up in there for them, tank ramps basically set up in here so you can get in the hold downs, and you can nail the Syrians as they're coming across. The Syrians are going to have to lay out some bridges, so it's going to be tougher for the Syrians on the assault, but they do have the numbers. So that's what makes this so much fun to play. So we'll take a look now in the manual, and the game goes up to, or I should say the manual goes to page 18. The rules themselves start on page 3 and they end on page 12. The scenarios are from 13 to 18. There's some optional rules that could be used in here as well. You've got your standard, what we've come to expect from the Battle on Demand line. You've got your counters are laid out, your counter legends all laid out to explain to you what's in each counter. Let me zoom in a little bit here so you can get a better look at this manual. So we've got our breakdown of our counters. We've got the different types of counters. You've got infantry, armor, artillery, aviation, leaders, AVLBs, helicopters, and then you've got the unit colors, obviously the Israelis with the blue and white, and the Syrians with the gold and green. Breaks down the sequence of play, starts out with your rally phase, and you go into your reinforcement phase, and then Syrian movement, Israeli movement, and Israeli combat phase, and Syrian combat. So the Syrians get the advantage to start off moving first, and the Israelis then will be in reactionary mode, where they're going to be moving in reaction to the Syrian movement, and then they get combat. So Syrians have that initial movement advantage, but they've also got to wait for the Israeli counter move and then their combat. And then hopefully the Syrians can then be in close range for their combat, and then maybe even for a close assault. Then you have your cleanup, and then we just start it back over. And then you've got your breakdown of all those actions here in the game. You've got movement, fire combat procedure, opportunity, fire line of sight, close assault, and then your close assault results. And then you've got the special units and their capabilities. You've got helicopters, AVLBs, BMP-1, and SAGR units. You've got mines, which are pretty interesting. How these work is there's 10 mine markers. They are only used by the Israeli player. They're kept face down at the start of play. During each turn, at the beginning of the Israeli movement phase, the Israeli player may place any remaining mine markers, 1 per hex, anywhere on the board, including a Syrian-occupied hex. The exception is mines cannot be placed in an anti-tank ditch containing an AVLB. Once placed, the mine marker is flipped to its firepower side and immediately attacks any units that enter the hex. If a unit is already in the hex, the mine immediately conducts an unmodified attack per the rules of fire combat, and results are applied accordingly. If no units in a hex, the mine stays in place until a unit moves into the hex, and then the unmodified attack takes place. If the mine attack is complete, the Israeli player rolls 1d6. On a roll of 1 to 4, the mine is removed. On a roll of 5 to 6, the mine remains in place. Roll for removal after each time that the mine attacks any new unit. So there is a small chance, like a 30% chance, that mine will stay in play. That those mines, I should say, will stay in place. So that keeps things a little interesting. Mortar, and then you have leaders, air support, and off-board artillery for the Syrians, and air support for both sides. Then there's also an optional night rule. In the night, the optional night rule, the first two turns are night turns. During the night turns, all Israeli unit ranges are halved, and none may attack at extended range. For example, during a night turn, an Israeli Centurion platoon has a range of 4, half of 8, and may not attack at extended range, any range greater than 4. Syrian unit ranges remain the same, but they may not attack at extended range. So T-55 stays at its range of 5, may not attack at greater than 5 hexes. Syrian Mi-8 helicopters and infantry they are transporting may not enter on a night turn. If using this optional rule, do not roll for their entry until the first day turn, which is turn 3. Then you've got your credits, and then we've got to look at some of the games from Lock and Load Tactical Series, and then you have Scenario 1, which is the sacrificial stand. That is the official historical scenario. And how it starts off, you have 13 Centurions start off for the Israelis, and then 2 leaders, and then you have 2 infantry, and then 3 infantry down west of 2900, and 1 infantry mortar. Entering on turn 1, you have for the Syrian 20 T-55s, 3 BMP-1s, 2 ZSUs, and a leader. And then the further units enter as we saw on that reinforcement chart. And then you've got your order of battle and your air support. And then here is Bold Defiance Scenario 2. This is a variant. And it says here in this alternative scenario, the steady Arab buildup along the Golan Heights has caused the Israelis to be more prudent in their preparation. The Israelis rush all available troops, but not before the Syrians launch their offensive. The Syrians must punch through the Israeli lines and take control of the IDF radar outpost at Tel Hermanit to achieve victory. This scenario explores possibility of a slightly better Israeli mobilization response, along with a more concentrated early effort by the Syrians and slightly altered mission objectives. So what we're going to have here is you're going to have, in the first one, you have 13 Centurions, 2 leaders, 2 infantry, so you've got 5 infantry, an M3 mortar, and 13 Centurions for the Israelis. What you're going to have, starting on the map, is you're going to have, in firing ramps already, it's going to be 11 Centurions, and then you're going to have 5 M51s, and then you're going to have 6 infantry, 2 mortars, and then the rest will come in on turn 2. For the Assyrians, you're going to have 30 T-55s this time, 2 BMP-1s, 2 ZSUs, 3 AVLBs, and a leader. So things are just a little bit more intense on this one. You've got 20 T-55s for the Syrians, 3 BMPs, 2 ZSUs. In this one, you've got 30 T-55s, 2 BMPs, 2 ZSUs, and 3 AVLBs. So that's where it says here that there's a more concentrated early effort by the Syrians and the slightly altered mission objectives. So, order of battle here in the victory condition, a Syrian player must create a breakthrough in the Israeli lines by exiting 10 army units off the west edge of the map. At least 5 of those must be T-55 or T-62 tanks. In the other one, it is 9 armor units. And then, obviously, capturing Tel Hermanit Hex is the equivalent of exiting 3 armor units. But this one, you need to get 10 units off, plus you must control the radar outpost at Tel Hermanit, which is vital for Israeli communications and intelligence. So it definitely ups the ante a little bit more, makes it a much more intense mission than the standard base historical mission that comes with the game. So that is a look inside the box with Against the Odds, Battle for the Golan Heights, the Israelis and the Syrians in the Yom Kippur War in October of 1973. Hope you guys are, if you're interested, I hope you guys go and take a look at it. Lock and Load Publishing site. This is a pretty fun game, especially if you're into modern tank battles. You're going to dig this one. So if you have any comments or questions, post them below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.